good meal starts with quality ingredients, and a good meal service starts with thoughtful procurement. To make best use of the funds allocated to your program, this video is going to help explain comparison shopping, which will help us determine the best deals while procuring food for our program. For starters, let's take a peek at a flowchart that will help us understand how procurement works. Non-public schools and non-school institutions or sponsors will be using the left-hand column, and public schools, public school academies, and intermediate school districts use the right column. It might look like a lot of information, but this form is actually quite simple. In this row, we clarify what we're trying to procure, whether it's food, supplies, or services. Or in the case of non-public school, non-school institutions, and sponsors, this is all grouped together. For each of these categories, there are thresholds between informal and formal procurement. For instance, for non-public institutions, their purchase threshold is $250,000. If you add up all of your yearly costs for your food service, including food, supplies, and services, and that number is below $250,000, you'll follow the sequence of procedures in the left column. And if these are more than $250,000, you'll follow the events in the right-hand column. For public schools, procurement of food, supplies, and services are separated, each with their own threshold. For food, it's $100,000. For supplies, it's $24,459, and for services, it's $250,000. Let's take a closer look at the small purchase informal procurement method. Step 1. Contact 3 suppliers and document price quotes. You must contact at least 3 known suppliers of the food, services, and/or supplies commonly purchased on an annual basis and obtain competitive price quotations for those goods and services. Institutions must ensure that all potential vendors receive the same information about the food, services, and supplies required, and all bid quotes or prices must be obtained in writing. Step 2. Complete an informal procurement log. The Small Purchase Informal Procurement Log documents all price quotations from suppliers. If you purchase from retail stores, the best approach to determine where to buy food and supplies is the market basket approach. A market basket is a representative list of items, both food and non-food items, services, and supplies, to support a weekly menu, such as milk, meat and meat alternates, vegetables, fruits, bread, cereal, infant formula, and infant food, as applicable. List the items you need to purchase in the left-hand column and the quantity you'll need to buy in the column to the right. Then, document the price per unit for each item for each vendor. At the bottom, total the price for the list. In the next section, circle the way in which you found each vendor, either internet, newspaper, or flyer, in person, on the telephone, or write in an alternative way. Underneath, you can write your rationale for using the vendor you'll be selecting. A few examples would be price, location, or convenience. And finally, you'll put a check mark in the bottom box for your selected vendor, and then sign and date the form at the bottom. Remember to procure supplies such as plates, bowls, napkins, etc., or services like vended meals too. You may want to have a second log sheet for supplies and/or services. MicroPurchases make it possible to make purchases for special occasions for a one-time event or in an emergency situation to continue uninterrupted service. No informal quotes are required in MicroPurchasing, but you still must retain the itemized receipt or invoice for documentation of the purchase. MicroPurchases may be used when the following conditions are met. Aggregate total of all transactions does not exceed $10,000. Purchases are distributed among qualified suppliers. Your institution should not use one single supplier for all micro-purchases. Prices are reasonable. Your institution cannot purchase your weekly food supplies from one vendor throughout the year, even if each of the weekly invoices do not exceed the micro-purchase threshold of $10,000. Using this example, the institution must use an informal or formal procurement method to evaluate the best vendor. Micro-purchasing is meant to be used for smaller purchases that cannot otherwise be estimated for long-term use over the fiscal year. Procurement records must be kept for 3 years plus the current fiscal year, or as long as there are unresolved audit findings or investigations related to those records. Remember that a good meal service starts with thoughtful procurement, and these documents make sure we get the best deal, which can afford us to serve nutritious, high-quality food. Procurement thresholds can change annually, so you need to make sure you are using the most current threshold that applies to you. If you have questions, you can visit the CACFP website, michigan.gov/CACFP, or contact the program office at 517-241-5353.